my name is Monica Blanco, and this is my introductory video for this course. So I was born and raised in Dodge City, Kansas, and that is actually where I currently teach. So I teach at Dodge City Middle School as a sixth grade social studies teacher. This is my second year as an educator. However, it is my first year teaching in a middle school setting. The year before, I was a fifth grade teacher at a local elementary school teacher. As a local elementary school teacher, and the year before that, I completed my student teaching. So I am new to the profession. I am still trying to figure out what my teaching strategy is, my classroom management. I am always reaching out to my administration, my mentor to this from this year, my mentor from last year, just trying to gain different tools and just resources that I can use to be better educated for my students. So currently my professional goal, I set it for myself at the beginning of this year when I became a sixth grade teacher. I thought really hard about what kind of teacher I wanted to be. So my professional goal is to be an educator who is mindful and conscious of our students' social emotional needs and is constantly working on building relationship with our students. I think last year and the year before, as a student teacher and then as a first year teacher, I focused too hard on curriculum, too hard on what kind of teacher I was, like teaching academics per se, and then just trying to figure out teaching as a whole. And I didn't focus as hard as I would have liked on building relationships with our students. And so this year, I really want to put an emphasis on my relationships with my students and being able to build those relationships, make my classroom a place where they feel welcomed and feel like I'm a person they can come to if they have any issues whatsoever. And so that has been my goal this year. And my reason is currently when I begun my educator profession, even though I know I'm new, but when I began, I thought I wanted to be principal. However, now that I'm in this position, I kind of would really like to be an instructional coach. My instructional coach from when I was student teacher and my first year teaching was really helpful, and I would love to be someone who was helpful and as guiding as my instructional coach has been for me. So the next slide is Dodge City Middle School. So this is a data analysis of Dodge City Public Schools, specifically Dodge City Middle School, 6th through 8th grade, and how they utilize their data that they collect. So a reflection of DCMS data analysis. So for ELA and math, those are the two subject levels that they collect data for, and they utilize a program called FastBridge. I am a sixth grade social studies teacher, so I do not provide these assessments to our students. However, I do have experience with these exams, sorry. When I was a fifth grade teacher, I was the one who would provide these assessments to our students, and I would also progress monitor them. So I do know what these tests entail and what they look like and what the process looks like. I am still certified in these assessments. So if anything were to happen to the math or ELA teacher, they were to be out 1 week and the test needs to be provided to the students, I could step in and do that for them. And then we utilize SABRS, which is a social emotional analysis. This year at DCMS, it looks a little bit different than what it did for me as a fifth grade teacher. When I was a fifth grade teacher, we provided the assessments to the students where they analyze themselves, and then us educators went ahead and took a test over the students and compared data that way. However, at DCMS, the students did not take the assessment, but I, as an educator, did have to assess my students' social emotional needs. So that was a little bit different, since here we're not having the students assess themselves, which I think would be beneficial to have them reflect upon their own social emotional well-being, but that's not something that DCMS did. The screener for all three of those exams are taken in the fall, winter, and spring. So we also look at those each time right before and right after we meet as a whole wide building within grade levels, and we look at data, set up goals for our students, we talk to our students. I am currently in the process, even though I do not administer the test to my students, I am having my students currently look at my advisory students. So that's a group of 19 students that are just mine. I'm having them look at their ELA and math screeners from the fall and winter that they just took in. They're comparing their data, seeing if they met their winter goal, and if so, what is it that they felt that they did that was beneficial, or if they didn't, what goals can they set for themselves in order to improve on that. So I do help along with some of that. And then I do not administer this, but I know DCMS has progress monitoring weekly, biweekly, or monthly, depending on the student's scores and needs for it. And then also all that data also gets put into a system that is just barely being implemented last year, but it's more mainly being focused more on this year, called EduClimber. So EduClimber provides a comprehensive view of individual or whole group analysis regarding factors such as student success, social emotional, demographics, and etc. I actually noticed another one of our students has something a little different. I think it was called Proctor or something, but it looked very, very similar. And you can use it to look as a whole group, where you can see like demographics, you can see such things as like free and reduced lunch, female, male. You can look at age groups, you can look at differentiating of year. So I do not have that much experience with it since it is a new program, but we have been more focused on it. So this year, as a team. So hopefully, as throughout the year, I'll just gain more knowledge on how to utilize it in order to better instruct my daily instructions. So personal knowledge of data. So screening and progress monitoring students, like I mentioned this year, I am not facilitating any of that since I am a 6th grade social studies teacher. But the years prior, I did facilitate those exams for my students, so I do know kind of what it is that they're looking for in regards to comprehension and fluency. I also know how to evaluate students' data. Even though I am a 6th grade social studies teacher, I do look a lot at specifically the ELA data and in regard to their comprehension and fluency. And I utilize that, like this past week, me and my other 6th grade social studies teacher, my colleague, and along with the instructional coach, we sat down together during one of my plan times, and we came up with fluency partner groups and comprehension partner groups depending on the activity I'm doing on the day, on a specific day, so that we know who to buddy up, who with what students, so that it would be most beneficial for them. And then specifically looking at as to who should be buddied up with me as an educator, so that they're not struggling or at a disadvantage compared with other students. So I do look a lot at the ELA data in order to have intentional planning. So I meet with colleagues to analyze data, like I mentioned earlier. 3 times a year, we look at screeners. We are constantly talking about their progress monitoring. Even though I'm not facilitating tests, I do talk with the math, ELA, with the science educators, so that we can look and analyze that data. And I do collaborate with the instructional coach in order to better understand how to utilize that data along with my social studies curriculum, because I am new and I don't know exactly how to, there's a word for it, integrate both curriculums. And there currently is no progress monitoring for social studies, and in 6th grade we do not take the state test, but like I mentioned earlier, we do use a lot of the data that students take for other tests. So plans for improvement, like I mentioned earlier, I am really, really working on building relationships with my students. That is my goal. I want my classroom to be a place that my students feel safe, where they feel welcome to make mistakes, to be able to collaborate with their friends, with new people, with me. I want my classroom to be a place where they're not so highly focused on exams and just tests. And because I know in ELA, math, even science, they got test after test, whether it's FastBridge, whether it's screeners, progress monitoring. So I kind of want my classroom to feel like a place where they can finally just relax and breathe and be, open to making mistakes and just having those trial and errors. I also want to improve in my having intentional lesson planning, where I'm targeting a variety of learning styles. I have an understanding, and I know that you don't have to have a bunch of different activities for one lesson in order to differentiate it for all those different learning styles. You can just pick one activity that will target a variety of those. However, I kind of want to gain different tools. Like I know in my last class, I took a computer class, and that was incredibly beneficial because it taught me how to use like different programs such as Screenomatic, which I'm using now, Flipgrid. I was able to collaborate with my classmates on different tools that they've used and I've been implementing in my classroom. So I kind of want to, learn different tools that I use that can target different learning styles, those auditories, those kinesthetics, such things such as that. I also would like to work better on collaborating with colleagues. I work really, really well with the other sixth grade social studies teacher and with my instructional coach. However, I haven't had the time to actually sit down one on one with the ELA teachers, and I would really, really like that, especially given the fact that I'm using their data, their screeners, and their progress monitoring in order to have intentional planning. But I kind of would like to see exactly what they would like me to do in order to help them, since they're always focused on those tests because they do have weekly, biweekly, and monthly progress monitoring for their students. And so whatever they would like me to work on, whether that's comprehension, fluency, compare and contrast, whatever they would like me to focus on that they feel like their students are lacking in ELA or just need a little bit more help with, I think it would be very beneficial for me to sit down with the ELA teacher in order to understand what it is she feels our students need so that I can implement that into my classroom so they're seeing it both places. And then that is all I have. Thank you so much for listening to my video, and I'm so excited to, go through this class with you guys. Bye.